Thank you. All right, so good morning again, everyone. It's a pleasure to have another opportunity to talk with you. Before I introduce President Naganathan, I want to thank you all again for the progress that you've all made over the last several years. And as the saying goes, sometimes when you're in it, you can't always see the changes and the advances that have occurred, but it's remarkable all of what has been accomplished by you. With my own kids, I don't necessarily notice their changes day to day. I have two teenage boys. And it's only when I see old pictures or videos sometimes that I realize just how different they are. In fact, this is the last year they'll both sit on the front porch, first day of school pictures, because I'm going to have one heading out into the world. So, it gave me pause because, for all of you that are essentially out in the trenches every day, so to speak, I can imagine that sometimes with the way things go, it's hard to recognize or see, together what all has been accomplished. So today is Dr. Nagy's third Convocation welcome to you, and I'm sure many of you agree with me that there's been a lot accomplished under his leadership. It's been 2.5 years, and he is often the first one to credit all of you in this room for making it happen. I've never once in 2.5 years heard him say I, other than maybe I'm sorry, or I will continue to brag about people. His use of I is very minimal. It's very much, here's what our team has done, here's what these people have done. I've worked with a number of people in my lifetime that don't necessarily appreciate that. So I just personally want to recognize that in Dr. Nagy. But mentioning back to some of the highlights that stand out to our board, and I'm going to list a few of these here, and I won't capture everything, but I want to pick some of the things that when we started as a board, we had serious questions. A, how to even be a board, but B, what can this university accomplish in this new way of operating? So number one, new degree programs that have launched. I mentioned it earlier. We've got to keep doing that. It's very important. And the board and others aren't going to do that. It's going to take what you do. You know what new degree programs, well, one, you want to teach, and two, how to make those successful in our classrooms. The turnaround in enrollment growth of our new freshmen, and in particular here at the Klamath Falls campus. At a time where residential campus living and other things are really not necessarily first and foremost in what students will pay for, we're seeing a rise in students coming here. So that's remarkable. That says a lot about each and every one of you. The greater focus on diversity and ensuring that all of our students feel welcome and engaged with everything Oregon Tech has to offer. As we watch the trends in what our new students come in, many speaking English as a second language, that's a big shift in American education. We have cultural clubs here that didn't exist even just a few years ago, much less the kind of support services we're offering to help those students stay enrolled and complete. The concerted branding and marketing efforts that are beginning to increase our profile. Oregon Tech now shows up across the state. And legislatures from districts outside of this particular one we're standing in care about Oregon Tech and have put in political capital into investing in Oregon Tech. And we're feeling the benefit of that at all our campuses. And as a result, I personally believe it's how we ended up with the new facilities here. Because those legislators are hearing about us in other ways that matter to them, and they're coming here more and more and seeing what this residential campus has to offer, and they're getting behind supporting us as our polytechnic. The great relationship with the governor, legislature, and other state entities. So I mentioned that. They're coming. They're here. The work accomplished to launch our Oregon Manufacturing Innovation Center, which provides services to this quickly growing entity and is expanding our industry relationships and applied research goals. As we face more and more challenges with how funding happens in this country, much less in Oregon, one of our lifelines, again, my opinion, is with our industry partners. And those industry partners that are willing to donate cutting edge equipment so our students leave knowing what to do. They don't require a bunch of retraining to step in and be successful health science, engineering, and other majors. the more and more our value proposition speaks to parents and the next generation coming here. All of the capital construction and repair projects that are giving us essentially improved teaching and learning classrooms, these labs and innovation spaces. I work in a company that has 110 employees and we're 100% virtual. We don't have a headquarters building where anybody goes. We do everything out of our homes remotely all over the world, and we take advantage of the kind of technology that's available today. And I had a chance to tour one of the new facilities here where our students are getting to learn in such a different way. And I was so jealous. I just really wanted to come back and go sit in there and learn that way with these boards and all this stuff. And what are we doing? We're teaching them how to go out into a new industrial environment where companies have you work not from an office. So that should be second nature for our graduating students. We have increased donor, staff, faculty, and alumni engagement that's beginning to pay real dividends. We really, for the first time, when I hear we have fundraising campaigns, I take it seriously. And there's more and more projects that people can feel good about giving. And many other areas that are positively changing the face and brand of this university. The board wholeheartedly supports President Naganathan and his leadership, and just as importantly, his recognition that all of this was accomplished because of the commitment, expertise, and hard work that each of you bring every day. It's not about him, it's about you. And on behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, I just want to thank you so much for all that you do for our students. Our university and our many stakeholders every day. And so please join me in a round of applause for the many accomplishments that you are continuing to make happen. So just to wrap up, as we celebrate the many good things that have happened, the board and I are well aware that we have a lot of exciting possibilities ahead. And as in every other walk of life, such excitement is earned alongside the challenges we must overcome. We recognize that there are challenges ahead. There are new waters to navigate. And there are a number of new ways we need to work with each other, support our president, support our teams, support our students, so that we can continue to grow and develop in the manner of which we've just been rocketing since I saw that slide a few years back. So I know Dr. Nagy has a lot to share this morning as our formal kickoff in the opening of the university for the 2019-2020 academic year, and I'm eager to listen. Please join me in welcoming your president, Dr. Naganathan, to the podium.
Thank you, Chair Graham, for that very kind welcome. It's great to have you and Vice Chair Jessica Gomez with us as we launch the new year. I would also like to acknowledge our other trustees who are here today, Trustee Rose McClure, who is a member of our faculty, and Trustee Grace Rust, who is a member of our staff. Thank you, trustees. Now I'm going to invite you to stand up, look at the audience so that we can acknowledge your presence and appreciate you being with us today. Welcome back, everyone, to the new year. I hope all of you had a great summer. The new year in a university is so much about the energy and vibrancy our students bring. So we are going to start with a video where our students demonstrate the same energy and excitement and show it off to prospective students so that they can appreciate how the residential life at Oregon Tech can be. I also think it's a great idea after a very nice meal. This could be good caffeine. So let's start with the student live video.
Everybody wants a little extra something.
talking, but I wanna see proof. So hey, let's get down to it. I can hear you talking, but I wanna see proof. It's your moment, go and grab it. Now's the time to prove it.
Well, we are so fortunate to have the opportunity to be always immersed in such energy and excitement. And as we translate our vision to action, which is the theme for this year, it is that kind of vibrancy we want to demonstrate in everything we do. Over the last 2 years, as a university, we have all achieved a lot together, from the short-term action plan that we collectively developed to its many priorities, which have been completed in full, as you can see in this particular slide. But during my presentation today, instead of dwelling on what we have done so far, I would like to focus on what we are looking to achieve in the context of our long-term strategic planning during the next 5 years. I strongly believe, it's a personal philosophy for me, I strongly believe when an organization is successful, it is not just the material outcomes that matter. The people of the organization must feel and believe genuinely that they have been part of creating that success. With that in mind, as you listen to my remarks on various topics today, please ask yourselves the following two questions. First, whatever the topic is, please ask yourself, what does this topic mean to me in my role as a member of this university community? And the second question, how can I play a role in creating the successful future? And successful futures are seeded by the vision and strategic direction set by the board and the president, but ultimately, they flourish because of the hopes, dreams, and efforts of a broader cross-section of our university community. This slide is a compilation of hopes and aspirations of our strategic planning committee. I must say how impressed I am with their energy and all of the hard work they have done already in a very short period of time. So thank you, members of the Strategic Planning Committee, and could I ask all of you that are here today to please stand so we can recognize you, members of the Strategic Planning Committee. Thank you. An important enabler of the strategic plan is the university's mission, and the mission statement describes who we are and what we do. Last year, we worked on revising Oregon Tech's mission, which really has not seen in any significant way over the last 20 years. The revisions which were approved by our Board of Trustees last May and the Higher Education Commission in August more accurately reflect how we serve students and the state of Oregon and beyond. So having this revised mission statement is also a timely guidepost for us as we continue to develop our long-term strategic plan. Now, Oregon Tech's vision statement has also been discussed by the Strategic Planning Committee. I would call out three major themes that define our vision. Global prominence as an academic institution that is focused on professional programs. In other words, a globally prominent polytechnic. Second, our commitment to be clearly recognized as the industry's university. And third, and finally, our aspiration to nurture the future leaders and not stop at graduating outstanding career-ready entry-level professionals. And I thought it would be helpful for you to hear directly from the members of your strategic planning committee about their work as a diverse cross-sectional team. So here it is.
I like to think of the strategic plan as the guidelines and sort of a indicator to the public and to all our constituents that this is what we're going to look like when we're 80 years old.
I think the strategic plan is a necessary component to kind of guide how we want our school and our organization to go forward.
My hope is that the strategic plan will help us calibrate our mission and our vision, our goals and our resources for our future success as well as growth. And that this plan includes enrollment and strategic goals, but also that we work on branding and continue to build the university outside of the campus.
As a student, it's really cool to see faculty and staff come together and work as a unit, because a lot of the times we don't really, we don't see the staff as students. We see a couple here and there. It's just kind of cool to see the various different departments coming together and just working together towards a common goal.
Coming just from simple student background, there's a lot that I'm learning.
At first, it was a little, everybody was being kind of delicate, and we were just kind of 25 people in a room.
We've started to open up as a committee where we meet so often that we have an idea. We're not afraid to share it at the table.
A lot of conflicting ideas, but that's kind of the point of it.
Nobody is afraid to put ideas out there and ask the tough questions.
It's always a constructive criticism or feedback, and everybody's opinions matter.
I think the faculty voice is very important because as we are kind of the front line of the university's members that are in touch with the students, I've absolutely enjoyed being part of this group. It's been particularly enlightening to me to hear the viewpoints from not only faculty, but from students, from staff, from administrators, graduates, and our employers. Yeah, I think later in the fall, when we're able to reach out to the rest of the faculty members on campus, people are back, we're really excited to share with them what we have done over the summer and then to engage them in working in the next steps.
It's important because it's our plan. It's not the plan of just faculty, not the plan of the administration, not the plan of the president, not the plan of the staff. It's the plan for everybody for Oregon Tech.
Well, as you can see, the committee has truly gelled very quickly. And I must say I'm really impressed with the engagement of our students and their thoughtfulness, along with our faculty, staff, and several external stakeholders who are part of this process. I would also like to recognize the fine efforts of our consultant, Jenny Lang, for her excellent facilitation. So as we move forward, the committee will hone a draft set of goals based on all of their analysis over 4 months and present these to the rest of the university, as you heard on the video, beginning in October and into early 2020. And this will give everyone a chance to comment, share your ideas, and help us reach a final set of agreed upon goals. Then we will present the plan to the board at the April meeting, hone it a bit more, and then present the final plan right before the end of this academic year, as we have planned all along. So this plan in turn will guide all of our department efforts, and therefore the last component I would like to refer to here is tracking our progress through a set of dashboard indicators. We have been looking at a number of dashboard models and shared some of the ideas with our board this past summer. Here is just a sample of what a dashboard might look like. These metrics are the accountability indices for the strategic plan, showing our progress, identifying areas where we are not advancing as well as places where we need to switch gears. So a dashboard task force is currently being led by Provost Mott. They are in the process of developing a recommendation for an Oregon Tech specific dashboard. So more on this later. Now, without investments, no strategic plan is going to be successful. But then investments cannot be made without a short-term and long-term assessment of our financial sustainability. As most of you know, except maybe our new faculty and staff, our Board of Trustees approved a deficit budget over the last 2 fiscal years, as well as the current fiscal year. That's very generous. This means they are trusting in our ability to grow net revenues by making investments in certain strategic areas, thereby giving us the ability to move beyond the current financial challenges and put our budget back into a good position. So with this in mind, I want to share what our fiscal picture is and what we need to focus on. Inherently, our expenses continue to increase because of the wage and benefit increases. That is just a reality. During the last fiscal year alone, about 73% of our expenses were in wages and benefits. Now, this is a continuing challenge. We are a full-fledged university now, and we are required to build the people and process infrastructure that will allow us to fulfill our duties as an independent university. So there are challenges. At the same time, we need to pay our bills. And the additional revenue to meet the increase in expenses have been coming from increased tuition. and thankfully right now from our state's investments through appropriations. But we rely too much on the state. At Oregon Tech, more than 43% of our revenue is from our state. If a recession were to come in, I should add it's more of a when rather than an if, state will be forced to drastically reduce their appropriations. I am not saying the sky is falling, but the sky can move closer to us and turn into a storm if we don't make the needed corrections now. I know that none of us want to go to the brink and take drastic measures. We will have much more control over our future if we together address these financial challenges proactively. So, to this end, I am putting in place an organizational group to review requests for all new and replacement positions at Oregon Tech. As a matter of fact, before the breakfast, we had our first meeting this morning at 7 a.m. Additionally, we will also be holding university-wide budget forums to communicate the current fiscal pressures and to hear your concerns, advice, and certainly feedback on what are some of the right steps for us. Given that student tuition is an important revenue source, let me also share with you today some trends on the number of students and the credit hours we serve for them and with them. At Oregon Tech, we serve both traditional age college students as well as high school students taking college credits. Now, the latter, the high school students, is an important service we provide to increase access and build an enrollment pipeline. Even though we do that for that intent, we are not as effective as we could be in getting them to join Oregon Tech to complete their undergraduate degrees. We did an analysis through a clearinghouse for 3 years of high school enrollment. While we enroll about 1,000 students each term on an average from high schools, only 8% of them ultimately come to Oregon Tech to finish their college studies. Only 8%. But 85% go to other 2-year colleges and 4-year universities. So this is a challenge and this is an opportunity. Therefore, I challenge our faculty and staff colleagues to explore ways in which we have more of these students enrolled at Oregon Tech. They are Oregon Tech students, we just have to retain them at Oregon Tech. When we look at the traditional college age students, we have been relatively flat, as you can see here, during the last 5 years, both in terms of headcount and in terms of the student credit hours we teach them. So we are not growing where we must grow. Addressing this is very important for Oregon Tech. That is the reason we are investing and the board is investing in enrollment management. Now, if we want to be financially healthy, to be able to take good care of our employees and make investments in our programs and projects, it has to happen with the growth of our traditional and transfer students. Now, enrollment growth is not an end in itself. It accomplishes a number of things in the categories you see here. I'm not going to go through each one of them. It enables us to get bonding and support for new facilities like our new engineering and technology complex because we get to make a case. It allows us to renovate our older facilities. Now, enrollment also gives us funding for new programs and so that we are able to hire the faculty and staff to be able to teach them. Now, last year was a whirlwind of recruitment and enrollment activities. I want to thank Dr. Erica Veth, AVP for Strategic Enrollment Management, Eric Johnson, Director of Admissions, and everyone on their team for their very special efforts in this regard. As you can see, our enrollment management staff don't let a lot of grass grow under their feet. It was a tough year for them with a lot of expectations, and they are making the magic happen. So thank you, everyone. I know many others on campus help them to make these things happen, so thank you to faculty, staff, and students who provide various layers of support, from lab demonstrations to campus tours, and in many other ways. While we will not know the final enrollment number until late October or early November, that's when the census comes, I am very pleased to announce today that we are trending toward bringing in our largest freshman class ever, at least a 15% increase from last fall, which itself, by the way, was 9% increase over the previous year. The numbers could be closer to even 20%. And one of the reasons this happens is because of our faculty. You have a very unique role to play in enrollment. It is often your genuine passion and talent that ultimately convinces a prospect to become a student. So here is another short video from a few of our faculty colleagues who are doing their part to attract students to Oregon Tech.
When we've had different things on campus and like preview days, what we do is my business presentations class will actually present to prospective students. And it's been really well received. In fact, parents are pretty appreciative because the students can ask questions, things that faculty can't answer, like what's it like to live in a dorm? What's it like to live in Klamath? And it's in a business presentations course because that's really one of the aims of the class, is to build confident presenters in a variety of situations. And so presenting to prospective students and their parents is a really good forum for them to really work on their skills. Plus, they start to learn a lot about Oregon Tech.
It's important for us to recruit new students. One, of course, that's our mission here at Oregon Tech, is to expand our enrollment and to get more students onto campus. But also in geomatics, we have a bit of a mandate from our profession in that we have an interesting little bubble where we have a huge number of professionals who are at retirement age, and there's not enough new students coming in to enter the profession to backfill. We had Caltrans come up to recruit students last fall, and they have 600 surveyors throughout their system in California, and nearly 300 of them are eligible for retirement in the next 5 years. So there's a tremendous need for students coming out of our program.
There is technology that's constantly changing in imaging. Many of our labs have been recently updated. The ultrasound equipment saw a recent update. The X-ray equipment is being updated this year. And technology and imaging is always in flux. And that is definitely something that faculty showcase when students are on campus.
A lot of the other departments have toys, cars, big medical equipment, all of that. Well, business doesn't necessarily have a toy, right? It's what we do. So we did sort of this lobby redesign with our stock ticker and with our monitor that it just loops business information. We really wanted a place where students could see what it is we do here at Oregon Tech.
Well, there are lots of faculty members contributing to this. I know I could highlight only a few of them today. Thank you all for what you do every day to attract students here. Now, enrollment management is a balance of new growth as well as retention. And while enrollment of new students is showing positive trends, our retention rates are pulling down what could be our better overall enrollment number. Just to show you one example of this, we picked Oregon Tech's fall 2013 cohort of degree-seeking undergraduates. It's a subset of all the students that came at the time. Now, roughly each of these icons is about 50 students. In fall 2013, we brought 1,069 new undergraduate degree-seeking students. By the next fall of 2014, 247 were gone. They had left. Next year, 52 more left. No, I should say 101 left. And then the following year, 52 left. And another 56 left in their fourth and fifth years. So after 6 years at Oregon Tech, only 564 or 53% had graduated, and about 50 or so are still taking classes. Some may stay, some may leave, some may get their degree a little later. The reason we picked 2013, it has given 6 years for the students to graduate, which is the way our graduation rates are often measured. Now, I want to point out many of the students we lost were talented students, almost north of 60%, 2/3 had good GPAs, and they did not leave Oregon Tech because they were failing at Oregon Tech. So today, I put forth a challenge to all of us. we need to thoughtfully consider what our stretch yet pragmatic retention goal should be and all be pointed at the same target. This is going to be a very intentional effort for us this year across our university. In the upcoming year, we'll be focusing on retention efforts supported by additional professional advising as a way to retain a higher number of students. In turn, this will relieve faculty of burdensome aspects of advising and allow faculty to focus on teaching and other key aspects of their roles. We also have challenges with late registration at Oregon Tech. We need to have as many of our continuing students register for next term before they leave campus. Student retention is influenced by issues, of course, beyond academics and financial aid, and it is in this regard our Student Affairs Division plays a very important role. Under the direction of Dr. Erin Foley, Student Affairs has many exciting activities underway. You can see on this slide the tremendous increase in services provided. I particularly applaud the work of our newly formed Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And as I refer to this committee's good work, I also want to publicly state our commitment to being an institution free from discrimination, harassment, sexual misconduct, retaliation, and other negative campus climate issues. This is very important for us as a university. Our mental health counselors and the other staff of the Student Health Center continue to provide crucial and timely support for many of our students. And finally, I want to recognize Mandy Clark and her staff in student housing for achieving a record occupancy this fall with 630 students having signed up for housing. This is an increase of 8% over last year. Faculty impact our students in so many ways beyond the classroom. You have always been first and foremost a faculty of engaged teachers, mentors, and advisors from whom students hone their professional practice. But over the last several years, we have also developed other options for faculty to advance their expertise in their field of practice. Some of these opportunities have been spurred by summer grants programs, others by sabbaticals, others by professional interests that are addressing problems in and around our campus locales or further afield. I want to talk the engagement spectrum where our example is our ABA clinic, the big clinic in Klamath Falls. Just over the past year, we have employed 12 graduate and undergraduate students, hosted 5 externs through the Applied Psychology program, served 23 clients aged 2 to 12 years, providing a total of 2,518 paid hours of service since January 1st, and about 500 hours of unpaid service, and achieved the $100,000 revenue milestone, which adds to the sustainability of such initiatives. So I want to credit our ABA faculty and staff for their outstanding efforts here. Now, I guess the message to faculty is that there is no one size fits all. There are many different ways in which you can make your contributions at Oregon Tech. So here is a short video showing what a few of our faculty and students are doing in the area of innovation and applied research. Dr. Graham referred to the Oregon Manufacturing Innovation Center R&D or OMIC R&D and what they are doing at OMIC R&D as well as in other areas. Here we go.
We engage in research. What it means to me is what I envision is creating the opportunity. Opportunities for our students, for our faculty, and also for entire university.
I think it increases the caliber of students that is attracted to your department. It also increases your ability to attract rock star faculty, junior and senior level faculty that want to be a part of a department and an institution that does kind of industry leading work. Some of the industry partnerships that have resulted out of this research include the Oregon State's EMS office, Oregon Office of Rural Health, a number of industry providers in particular, the largest ambulance company in the country, American Medical Response, some of the most progressive fire departments in the country as well, including Tarleton Valley Fire and Rescue and Vancouver Fire Department, are some of the relationships that would have been more difficult to have if this research weren't to take place.
connection made with industry here is a huge benefit for us. We have companies from Europe, we have companies from Asia, and all over the board.
We went to Boeing, we went to Blunt. Not only am I meeting people that are going to maybe hire me in the future, but I get to actually see what's happening and what they make. It's really awesome to be able to talk with professionals even before I get out into the workforce.
I can already see it when I go back to class. It kind of helps me really understand the basics and what's behind and really visualize what's going on.
Getting the shop ready for our future research projects. So I've learned kind of like the groundwork needs to be laid for R&D so that we may better do research in the future.
It's really helped me just create relationships with partners as well as with the rest of the interns. They're friends now, not just coworkers. And I think that's something that's going to help on in the future when I enter the workforce, being able to see people and learn how to work with them and be able to accomplish something together.
Bring your knowledge. That's my basically message for other faculty, that bring your knowledge here.
A faculty member that produces kind of peer-reviewed, rigorous research forces you to be at the forefront of your industry.
Well, thank you, Professors Kennel and Saber, for your comments, for participating in this video. There are many examples. By the way, those students you saw, they are all freshmen. They are just becoming sophomores. And all of them have fully paid fellowships through the Diarman Manufacturing Fellows. They have a full ride for the tuition and fees through Oregon Tech. So one of those students spoke at HEC when we went to defend our mission revision, and they were so impressed. He was the star that day. Rest of us just followed. Now, as you just heard, such linkages between our academic programs and research are allowing us new opportunities or leverage new opportunities for faculty, students, and the university. OMIC R&D has brought new applied research opportunities to faculty. It has enabled our students to gain full ride scholarships. And as you just heard, the early engagement with industry, which is remarkable for the students and for all of us. Another value-added outcome of OMIC R&D is that it enabled us to leverage a very special investment at Oregon Tech. We are going to be the beneficiary of a $3.5 million state investment in a rapid prototyping and additive manufacturing laboratory. Once the state is able to issue the bonds within the next 2 years or so, we will have the laboratory facility in Klamath Falls as well as in Wilsonville. So it's a $3.5 million of investment. We do not have to invest from our tuition and fees. It's a gigantic investment by the state. Again, an outcome of what we have been able to do through OMIC R&D. So I want to recognize the very capable leadership of Craig Campbell, who is with us today at OMIC R&D, and the fine work of his staff. So the Oregon Tech Foundation, the Oregon Tech Foundation is also helping our faculty and students be successful on the innovation front, as well as helping the university to diversify our revenues and fund new programs and ventures that benefit our mission. I want to thank Tracy Ricketts and her team and all of the departments which help the foundation achieve their goals and do their work. I won't go into all the details. The $4 million campaign for the future was successfully completed on time this past June. This included a $2 million match for the new engineering building. Since January 2017, we have raised a total of $11.6 million to benefit Oregon Tech's people, programs, and projects. And I want to recognize Becky Burkeen. Her effort through alumni relations is really paying off with some strong increases in alumni participation, which is now at a 4.4%. The national average is about 5%. And I can't thank all of you for your participation in the faculty and staff annual campaign. As I mentioned at the breakfast, participation increased to more than 45% of our campus community, and that speaks volumes. 94% of our departments participated, and you helped to raise $80,000, an impressive amount indeed. So I want to recognize Mira Wonderwheel for her energy and enthusiasm. So both family and organizational donors have been providing funding for other important needs at Oregon Tech, but they don't invest because we need money. They invest because those investments will create a transformative change in what Oregon Tech is all about. So here is an uplifting news summary. This is a collection of video clips from the television that will give you the story of these important donations last year.
The Behavior Improvement Group, or BIG Clinic, utilizes students in the Applied Behavior Analysis Program at Oregon Tech.
It's the only one within 75 miles to offer applied behavior analysis within Klamath County.
What we're able to offer the county in terms of support for our community is really, it's amazing. And the reception from the community has been so overwhelmingly positive.
And legacy, as I said, is a reflection of the past and the vision for the future, and that's what John and Lois have done. They embrace the students, the programs, not just here, the Running Wise Scholarship. Everything they seem to have done, it was total commitment, total passion.
And I think of Lois all the time, and I will every day when I step on this field. So thank you.
Burnett Hall is undergoing an $18.7 million expansion and renovation. The latest phase of that project is dedicated in honor of Brian Leach and the longtime support of the Leach family.
What you are giving us today is more than a room. It is a legacy. And it is going to be a legacy of love and life of a special man who believed in passing it on. I'll congratulate the foundations team for making so many things happen. One thing we have to recognize, in some way a donor is willing to give their resources to us because of the kind of brand, the Oregon Tech brand they hold in their minds. So it is in this context I want to briefly touch on branding because it does impact our success as a university. It is only when all aspects of our brand or our reputational capital begin to gel through consistency in brand management over time, we begin to have higher name and mission recognition, and that becomes a multiplier on everything that each of us does to advance the work at Oregon Tech. Faculty have a major role in Oregon Tech's reputational capital for the unique ways that you engage students outside of the classroom. Here is a brief video that shows what some of our faculty are doing right now.
We can teach technical skills in the lab, but we can't teach people to communicate with all of these different perspectives without actually doing it. You can't simulate that level of real world experience.
That's what makes our program so unique and so successful is it's not just the technical aspect. We're addressing soft skills. Because if you ask an employer, what's the number one thing they're looking for is someone who's a team player, who works well with others, gets along well within the sandbox, basically.
All the projects that I'm working, students are completely involved on those. They are working as a research assistants. They are also working as a project assistant. So they are the one who are actually getting benefited, and they are involved from top to bottom of the projects. Students are getting really hands-on experience, and they are loving it.
We often say applied hands-on experience, but that doesn't just mean using certain tools, say in a lab or in a classroom. What that really means is working with real people in real situations to solve real problems. I'm working with several students with the Pacific Northwest Research Station of the U.S. Forest Service to understand the effects of climate change on the growth of important timber species, with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, understanding wildlife diseases, University of Hawaii and the U.S. Department of Agriculture to find funding to study coffee in Hawaii, with the Department of Environmental Quality and Klamath County to look at local air quality. And we have a new air quality monitor going in on campus here, which will be solar powered, monitoring water availability in the Klamath Basin, which is funded by the Bureau of Reclamation, the National Park Service, climate change, scenario planning. The list goes on, and those are just some examples of things that are happening right now.
Well, I'm going to leave a fervent appeal to all of the faculty and others doing great work here. I had no idea Jeremy was doing all these things. You know, sometimes Our humility is like the lignin in biofuels that keeps the glucose within. It's hard to shake it off. So just, we all want to be humble, that's important. But let the dean know, let the provost know, so that we get to know what you are doing, so we can support what you are involved in, so that it, of course, it promotes you rightfully, and then it helps us promote Oregon Tech in the right forums. So that is a request to all of you. For example, this is not a complaint. Our faculty are doing exactly what they should be doing. I learned about the wonderful domestic violence conference from the news clip on NBC the night before. I think we can do better than that, right? So this way, I mean, that is something that's exactly what we should be doing as an Oregon Tech institution. You are Oregon Tech and you are doing it. Please help us support and elevate what you are doing. So finally, talking about engagement, I'm going to talk about a new event coming up. We are also working on raising our profile as Industries University through development of an annual tech summit at Oregon Tech. This year, our focus is on energy and environment. The Northwest Energy and Environment Summit will be held on November 1st on our Portland Metro campus in Wilsonville. Maria Pope, the CEO of PGE, is going to be one of our keynote speakers. And being seen as a convener around important issues will definitely help us raise our profile in different quarters, industry, legislature, as well as other education partners that we partner with. So I want to thank our faculty who are working very hard on this: Eklas Hussain, Jeremy Kellerman, Mason Turry, as well as our Marcopa department. So I want to thank them for their efforts. This is on November 1st. It is just a one-day affair, but it is about bringing people to campus, showing what great work you all are doing. So part of who we are and how we are known, hence our brand, is from our students' involvement as scholar athletes. Athletically, 2018-19 was a great year. It offered Hustling Owls fans a great source of pride. From our national women's cross country bringing home a national championship for the first time in program history, to men's basketball reaching the national title game for the 5th time in the team's 73-year history, it was an amazing year. Also to be recognized are our women's basketball team, who advanced to the Sweet 16 for the 2nd time in program history. Congratulations to Coach Scott Meredith and our Lady Owls on their success last year. There are one too many accolades to mention about our scholar athletes excelling on and off the field. They are also scoring high marks, receiving academic, All-American regional academic honors. Now, winning all these athletic accolades has a lot to do with leadership from Oregon Tech's coaches. The past 12 months, several of our athletic department staff have also been the feature of much conference and national recognition. I want to recognize Oregon Tech women's cross country coach Jack Kegg, our men's basketball coach Justin Purnell, and women's soccer coach Brandon Porter for their conference and national special recognitions. Please stand up and be recognized. Jack also got the National Coach of the Year recognition last year. As I close, I just want to express my most sincere appreciation for all that you do every day to ensure that our students succeed. I like showing commencement photographs here because that's the culmination of years of effort from everyone in this room. I truly believe working at a university is not a job, it is a calling, and we are truly blessed to have that in our lives. Please enjoy the rest of the week as you prepare for our students to return. Thank you for your attention and participation today, and go Owls.